So now I'm on my Windows machine, and I want to show you the difference between the command prompt and the Git Bash. So if I go into the start menu here and I start typing command, so you can see command prompt. So that's what that application is called in on a Windows machine. And this is taking me to a application where I can interact with the system using DOS commands. And these are different. So if I want to list the files, this is going to list a lot of files because the default place is here at the system, but you can, I'll just show you if I say dir, that's how you list files. So list all those files. Okay, great. Okay, so that's the command prompt. Now, because I have Git installed, I also have Git Bash, and you can see I was bringing it up, but it may not, it probably won't show up for you. But I can do this, I can start doing Git, and then I can get Git Bash. So let's go ahead and open that. And you see it looks kind of similar. It's another little window here. Let's see, I think I can make that wider. Yeah. Okay, great. And now you see we've got a $sign there. Let's look at the command prompt. What is the command prompt? So it's got this little thing with the little arrow here. This one has this here. And this Ming is just because that's where the bash command happens to be located on this machine. The command here for listing the files is ls. So that's your Unix or Mac command for that. And here they are. You'll notice it's different than what we saw before. And the reason is that when the bash starts up, it starts me in a different place. Let's see where I am, pwb. Yeah, so it's just located at my user folder. So that's a default for it. It's really important as a Windows user to know that you have access to both of these, because a lot of times when you search for answers for something, the people are going to be on a Unix or a Mac, and they're going to be writing the commands using the syntax for the shell or for bash. The application that's default for Mac, it's ZHS. It's built off of bash, so it's going to have the same commands. Okay, so I think, like, let me see if, for example, I'll show you a kind of a big difference. So, for example, in our tutorials, we might tell you, hey, find out where Git is located and issue the command which Git. If you do that, it says, I don't understand it. Well, that's because the command prompt uses DOS. But if you were to go to Git Bash, it understands that command. So there you go, and it tells you where it is. I think, I'm not sure if DOS will know it is 100% sure. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it does. It does understand and Git command. So use the Git command. It says fatal, not fatal here, but that's just because I'm here. But it didn't say, hey, I don't know what that. Also not in the Git repository, so I can fatal. Okay, great. So those are the two terminals you have. Let's talk about how you can call those up. So I showed you how you can call it up from the start menu. You can also bring it up from within your programming platform. I'm going to show you first with Visual Studio Code. So here I'm in Visual Studio Code. See the little icon up there. If I go to terminal, I can say new terminal. Let me close the old one so we can start fresh. Okay, terminal, new terminal. The default is the PowerShell, but it's going to have your DOS commands. So you see it opened me up here within this directory that I am working in. And if I want to list the files, the command is dir. But if I go over here in plus, you can see, oops, I can also open Git Bash. Open that. You can see it's a little different here. It's got the $sign. The $sign should hopefully clue you in that you're in Bash. You're not in command prompt. And here, if I did dir, it's going, oh, it does understand dir, but it also understands ls, okay, which would be the typical there. And in particular, let's get rid of that here. If I do which git, I'm going to find it there. Whereas I don't think PowerShell understands that. So yeah, see, it's not recognized. PowerShell is built off the command prompt, so it's going to be using like DOS commands. Okay, so that was that. Let's go hop over to RStudio and see how that works, because you've got a little bit of a difference here. So first, you can see I have shell, I have terminal. What happens if I click shell? Okay, well, you see here, and hopefully you picked up there for a moment, it said bash. But if you miss that, $sign comes up. So when I hit shell, it brought up a bash. And so I'm going to be using the Unix commands here. So which git is going to do me there. Let's go here, tools, and let's see what happens if I do new terminal. So notice it's not a pop-up window, it's coming up here. Aha, but it's still the $sign, so it's still the git bash. So it's not going to understand DOS commands. You can change this under global options. Go to terminal here. Okay. And right there it says new terminals open with, you could pick command prompt or the PowerShell if that's what you prefer to use. Okay, so I hope that was useful and helps you understand the difference between these different ways of interacting with your operating system.